So, you want to know if taking a gap year is a good idea. Maybe you're in college and you don't know. Or maybe you're in high school and you're planning ahead like a gunner. Or maybe you're into a gap year or 2 or 3 or more and you're worried that you may have just shot yourself in the foot. Terrific question. What's up, everybody? If you don't know who I am, my name is Mike. I'm an internal medicine physician, and today I'm going to talk about taking a gap year. Now, I know what some people think. Some people think that the connotation of a gap year is you just take time off to kind of go do whatever you want to do. And let me stop you right there. No. That's not what gap years are. That's not what gap years mean to me. That's not what gap years mean to admissions committees, unless they see that you did nothing during your time away from formal education. But for the majority of us, that's not the case. Before I jump into this video, I want to make sure that you know there's no one-size-fits-all path into medicine, into medical school to become a physician. Everyone's journey is a little bit different, and let me tell you, sometimes they're a lot different. So let's start with the pros of not taking any time off between college and medical school. The first one is obviously youth. Most people graduate college around 22, they finish medical school around 26, and depending on the specialty you go into, you might be attending by 29. That kind of sounds awesome. You're 29 years old, you get great money, you're near the upper echelons of your field, everything's terrific. Now, even before you get to an attending, your brain is still developing as you go through medical school. It's more plastic, you'll pick up on new concepts faster. What's not to love about that? Furthermore, you're gonna remember stuff from undergrad that's super pertinent in med school. Of course, the end of your undergrad training, lots of biochem, lots of anatomy, lots of physiology. At the start of medical school, lots of biochem, lots of anatomy, lots of physiology. Kind of get where I'm going here. You're gonna remember a lot of that stuff, and that might actually put you ahead of some of your peers who decided to take a big gap in between college and med school. So, get done training super young, have a super plastic brain that you pick up on stuff really fast, and have a lot of bleed over from undergrad into med school to kind of give you a head start. Sounds kind of awesome. Why is this even an argument? That sounds terrific. Well, there are some benefits to taking some time between college and med school to do some other stuff like this. Remember, at the end of the day, your goal is to be a doctor. This isn't just to be a walking textbook. Now, you could be a terrific human being and be very well-rounded, all sorts of stuff, if you go right through high school, college, med school, doctor. Super possible. I know people who have done it. That being said, with time in between college and med school, you get to develop a lot of things about who you are. First thing is, you can do other stuff. While you make your resume or CV or curriculum vitae a little bit more robust, that gives you more opportunities to strike a chord with somebody who's reading your application. If you can put something that has nothing to do with medicine into your application and somebody else has that same experience, that's gonna mean they're gonna wanna talk to you a little bit more about how you felt about that experience. Kind of brings up your chances of getting an interview. Another benefit to taking a gap year, or more than just the one, is you're gonna learn a lot of stuff that you probably didn't learn in undergrad and almost certainly won't learn in med school. The big one that comes to mind is personal finance. Now, if you exit college with some loans and you want to get a job and do all sorts of other things, that's great. You can start knocking off some of that loan money. You can learn how to manage your own finances. That's not something you get taught in med school, or at least I didn't. Maybe some other people do, but I didn't. That's stuff I had to learn on the fly throughout med school, on my own, and throughout residency. And if you learn that when you're not even in school, that's going to pay dividends, no pun intended, for the rest of your life. If you take some time off from formal education, you're going to do stuff while you do it. And these days, it's probably gonna be a lot of traveling. Who knows? You might go off to Iceland and take a bunch of pictures of puffins and you write all about that in your application. And somebody who reads your application just loved puffins and had to talk to you about that experience, so they invited you for an interview. You get the point. You're gonna go do stuff, you're gonna go travel, you're gonna go become a more well-rounded person. Now, my second to last big point, and I wanted to emphasize this just a little bit, is you get a chance to shore up some things that may be lacking from your application. Maybe you were a great student in college, maybe you played an instrument, maybe you did some sports, but you have nothing as far as community service goes, and maybe you didn't take all the math classes you needed. This gives you a great opportunity to go do all those things. Bolster up that CV just a little bit more based on the things that you know your peers have done and that you haven't. That'll certainly go a long way. The last point I'll make as to why somebody might want to take some time off from formal education is maturity. Now, I know as we get older, we're supposed to become more mature, but what does that mean? The big thing that I saw through medical school and residency as being an older med student and then an older resident is you're better able to cope with all sorts of things. You never really know what's going to happen in med school. You never really know what's going to happen in residency. That maturity, that age, really helps you kind of deal with all that stuff. Especially early on in med school and residency, there's going to be a lot of stressors. There's going to be a lot of stressors throughout, but especially at those starting points. The older you are, you understand yourself a little bit better. You understand how you cope with stress. You understand how you get through these hard times. You get up a lot faster than somebody who's never had to deal with those sorts of things. So sure, there's some good things about not taking time off. There's some good things about taking some time off. So what are you supposed to do? Well, I have no idea. Not super helpful, I know. But if you know who you are, you'll take your own path. I had a bunch of classmates in med school who were fresh out of college, took no time off, did nothing other than school. I had a handful that were in their 40s, a couple that were in their 30s, a lot of us were in their mid-20s. I was 26 when I started. I'm a huge pro time off guy, but that's not for everybody. And I understand that's not for everybody. It may not be for you, but there are plenty of things you can do if you take some years off. I'll also tell you, admissions committees don't really care. They want to see that you did something. Remember, doctors aren't just walking textbooks. You have to be able to talk to people. You have to be able to connect with people. You have to be able to empathize with people. If all you do is read and stare at your shoes when you talk to people, you're not going to make a good doctor. So in my mind, if you are eminently personable, you've done all sorts of traveling, you know yourself very, very well, and you're 22 and about to graduate college, go apply to med school. There's nothing else for you. If you've got some things you want to improve on, if there's some life experiences you haven't gotten yet that you really want to get, go do those. The admissions committee is not going to care, as long as you did something to make yourself a better human being. Not just a better student, not just a better bookworm, but an overall better human being, a more interesting human being, a human being that's going to be able to connect with people on a more personal level, because frankly, that's really important in medicine and it gets overlooked so often. Again, I really hope this helped. If you're pre-med and you're not really sure what's going on, drop your questions in the comments below. Maybe I'll respond to it or make a video about it. I'll certainly do one of them, but who knows which one. But until then, I'll see you guys in the next video.